Dungeons and Dragons is, and always has been, a product of its times. Okay, so right off the bat, I just want to say that this is not an apologist video. And it is more aimed at a subset of the TTRPG community and about how I disagree with them. So we all know that D&D has evolved over the years, and we saw a lot of changes in the 2024 edition of the game. The game is nearly 50 years old. Well, it is 50 years old, 74, yeah, it's a 50-year-old game. And a lot has changed in the world in the past 50 years. The most current version of the game made some changes that some people don't agree with, and that's unfortunate for them, I think. Taking the standard playable races out of the monster manual, getting rid of half-elves and half-orcs as playable characters, as standard playable characters, which I don't quite understand entirely. Seems to me that you want to have those still in there. Making orcs a full playable race, that kind of thing. And then even in newer games like, Daggerheart, where you've got the combat wheelchair or whatever it's called, and a lot of other inclusive things, the games are reflecting the times. Times have changed. But I want to address some things about first edition and what it was like back in the early 80s when D&D was becoming very popular. It was a different time, and things happened that can't happen anymore. Put it that way. Racism and bigotry were laughed at as jokes. Movies like Revenge of the Nerds have not aged well. Sexual assault and rape were seen as jokes, like I said, in Revenge of the Nerds. There were fantasy series where SA was written in as part of the story. There's one series, I had the books, I don't own them anymore. I don't remember what happened to them, but it was a series of books about a group of college kids who were playing D&D, and somehow or another they got sucked into the world of the game. They thought it was some kind of like shared delusion or something like that, if I recall, and one of the characters basically raped someone else in the game, and it, while they were in this other world, thinking there would be no consequences and thinking it would be okay, and like nobody batted an eye at it. The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the main character raped a woman, and while there were long-reaching world-building consequences to what he did, the character himself didn't feel. It was used as a character building moment, and it was just it's not right. So, like I said, things like that were prominent back then, and I am also participated in activities like that because it was seen as the norm and that it was okay. This whole boys can be boys culture was prominent, and nobody really cared. I remember my high school D&D group, we did things in that game that I would never ever do now. This is not an excuse. We were teenagers in a different time when it was not looked as down upon, but things changed for the better. The game evolved and reflected the times, And some people have evolved with the times, being a bit more open-minded. But this video is for people who have not changed with the times. People who jump into my comments, both here on TikTok and over on YouTube, bashing 5th edition as being too woke, or saying that, you know, 1st edition was better because you could get away with whatever you wanted because that's what your character would do, or it was the medieval period and, you know, racism and bigotry were rampant back then, so we can be that way in our game and everything's fine and dandy. And they leave these comments because I put my face out there. And you see my face. I am an older man. I am gray, whatever. I am, you know, have stated more than once that I started playing these games in the early 1980s. I've been around for a while. So they see this and they watch my videos where I compare 1st and 5th edition's rules and things like that. And they don't get the point of those videos that, you know, I'm actually, in a way, making fun of 1st edition, not 5th edition. And they don't get that, and they think that they can say these things and that I would be an ally, but I'm not an ally. Not one bit. You know, the world has changed, the game has changed, and if you cannot change yourself, rather than being negative and saying bad things about the newer editions, or, you know, telling people that it's okay to do these bad things in game that are definitely not okay and quite illegal to do in real life, it's time to take a good look at yourself rather than the games. And if you can't change, don't play the newer games. Play the older games and play them with like-minded people, and stay off the internet spreading your negativity and vileness, because we've got enough vileness in the world right now. The country I live in is falling apart, and what we need more than anything is for people to come together and grow with the times and be better and more open-minded and more inclusive. These are just my 2 cents. I am still, over the past 2 days, have had things like this on my mind, and I am determined to be calmer about this. But the game changed. The world changed. It's time for all of us to change. And if a 54-year-old cis male, cis male, can change with the times and be accepting, you can too. It's not hard. It's actually less stressful to not be hateful sometimes. Hate is not a good thing. We've got too much of it. Just as it says in my bio, I follow Wheaton's law, which is don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. It's easy. And if you can't change, at least keep your mouth shut. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope you all have a wonderful day.